This is the art of plenty. My oldest daughter is getting ready to leave, and I'm figuring out how to cope with that. This podcast, The Art of Plenty, kind of hovers around 5 different topics: parenting, relationships, career and work, personal growth, and well-being. Now, the reason why I hover around these 5 topics is not just because I have 5 kids, and not just because 5 is one of my numbers, or that 5 is a number that's associated with grace, which is something that I need a lot of in my life. The reason why I hover around these 5 topics within the art of plenty is because these things are what make a life full, what make a life plenty. And figuring out how to balance these different areas, because they are sometimes at odds. Your parenting can impact your relationship with your partner. And sometimes balancing and going back between them is an art. And my heart is to dive down into these topics and to explore these rather than just pick one, because these 5 things are things that I constantly circulate through in my life. I'm always trying to figure out how to get more and to be better in my parenting, in my relationships, in my personal growth, in my work, and in my well-being. And when I talk about well-being, I don't just mean physically, but I mean emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And that is what the art of plenty is all about. So today we're diving into the parenting stream because it's really in my face this week. And I want to share with you what is happening and how, as a mom, I am navigating this season. So here's what's going down. My oldest daughter, she's 16, she is leaving to go on exchange, and she's leaving in the next week. And it's pretty awesome that she's going. And I'm, for the most part, well, not today, I guess, which is why I'm talking about this. Today, I don't have a lot of excitement, and I want to explore that with you. So here we go. All along, my daughter has been good at making decisions. We started doing this as parents a long, long time ago. Like, I even remember when my kids were babies, like on the change table changing diapers, and when I would be picking out clothes for them, I would show them 2 onesies. And whichever onesie they reached out for and grabbed, that would be the onesie that I put them in. I don't know that they were necessarily selecting it, but it was just a way of getting into my head that this is a person and that this person has preferences and is making decisions. All along, I've known that the better able I can prepare them for when they have to make all their own decisions, the better off they're going to be. And if they have opportunity to practice that when they are little, they're going to be comfortable with it when they get older. So my daughter's been making decisions her whole life, and it's grown in the types of decisions that she has been making. So when she was little, she would be picking out her clothes. She would be picking out what foods that she would eat. Not that she got to just choose whatever she wanted to eat, but if we were sitting at the dinner table and I had a lot of different types of vegetables, I would say, you need to pick 2 vegetables. So then out of 5, they get to choose the 2 that they like. Now, they may choose to eat all 5, but they know that they have to choose 2. And the reason why giving kids choice matters to me is because kids have so little control over their lives. There is not a lot of things that they get to make decisions about. They don't choose where they live. They don't choose typically where they go to school or who they get to socialize with outside of school. And even sometimes not at school. I know with my kids' school, sometimes I've gotten notes from the teacher that if we're bringing, invitations for parties, the whole class has to be invited, and I understand parts of that, or that, on the playground, people need to be playing together and everybody needs to be included, which I struggle with because I think that we have friends and we have our preferences, and it's important that we're always kind and loving, but it doesn't mean that we have to be friends with everyone, and we certainly don't have to be hanging out with everyone at all times. So my point being that kids don't have a lot of control. They don't have a lot of opportunity to be individuals. So the more opportunities that I could give my kids to have control, to make choices in their life, that's what I've strived to do. And over time, my daughter has made more and more decisions for her life. For example, last year, she chose which school she was going to. Now, I would not have given her that choice earlier on, but it's a choice that she's grown into because she's had so much practice making decisions on little things that as she's aged, she's made increasingly larger decisions, meaning larger because they have more impact on her and how she's living her life. So fast forward to a few months ago, well, about half a year ago, she comes home with this plan that she wants to go away for a semester. She wants to go away on exchange, which is not really a big surprise to me a few months ago because she's an independent person who makes a lot of decisions, and she's been passionate about learning French for a long time. So it wasn't a surprise. And how do I respond to this? Okay, what can I do to actively support her? Not just emotionally support her or mentally support her, like say, oh, this is a good idea, or that sounds really exciting, but actual active support. So active support looks like me actually doing something to help her pursue this. So I went online, I researched a bunch of different possibilities for how she could go about this exchange process, and we found one that seemed to fit, and I sent her the information. She started going through the process of applying, and I just continued to help her because doing that type of paperwork is a different experience than she ever had before. So rather than having her wrestle through it, I supported her in doing that paperwork. Now, that doesn't mean I did it. She did the writing and I would edit it for her. We would talk about what kind of information they were looking for in certain questions. And we had a lot of discussions about it. So she applies for the program. She gets accepted. And she is absolutely jacked. She has had in her bedroom a countdown calendar for the last month. She is so excited to be going. And every time somebody has asked me, how are you feeling about this? How are you feeling about your daughter being on the other side of the world? I have responded with that I'm extremely excited. And that has been true because when I watch her face and she is talking about what this opportunity means for her, I get excited because she's excited and I know that it's going to be absolutely incredible. And I know deep down in my bones that her going is connected to her destiny. And I know that that probably sounds a little bit cliche or a little bit out there, but I'm extremely sincere in this. I know that her going on this opportunity is going to shape her life. It is going to be a defining moment, but not in those like small defining moments, but in the collection of all of the experiences that she will have in the next few months will be a defining moment that will set her life on a course that she's meant to go on. And because I'm so passionate about people finding their place and being who they're meant to be and living their life to the fullest, I know that she needs to do this because for her, this is connected to that. And that is really exciting for me. And I also, when I was growing up, had very close friends who did similar programs and went on exchange. So I have an understanding of what this opportunity could mean for her because of how my friends described those opportunities for them, and also seeing the way that those friends who did exchange lived their lives after and how it shaped their personalities. I can see that this is going to be good, that this is going to be great for my daughter. Now, here's a funny thing. You know how we were talking about kids making decisions? She didn't ask if she could go. She just brought it up in the way of saying, I'm thinking about this. Do you think this is a good idea? This is really exciting. And I didn't really feel like I had a choice to say no or yes, because it really didn't feel like my decision. I could have input and I could say, yeah, we can make this work, or no, we can't make this work. But in terms of saying she can't go or she can go, that wasn't really my decision, which is an unusual feeling when it's such a big decision and when it's one of your kids, because you feel, or I feel like as a parent, I need to be able to make these decisions for them. And that wasn't the case here at all. This was a decision that she needed to make on her own. And she knew it was her decision. And I believe that's why she didn't really ask. She definitely said, could we make this work, or how do we make this work? But it wasn't so much, can I go? She did ask, should I go? Which is different than asking, can I? Because should I go isn't asking for permission. It's asking for input. And I love that, because that's the kind of relationship I want to have with all my kids as they navigate adolescence and as they navigate adulthood. I don't want them to ask me what they should do. I want them to ask for my input. What do you think about this? Because when they do that, there's an openness where they're saying, this is my life and I'm inviting you in because I see you as somebody who has insight and has wisdom, and I want you to impart some of that wisdom to me so that I can make the best decision for me. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they will take all aspects of that input, but just the fact that she was asking for that really warms my heart and makes me feel like I'm doing it. I am doing a good job parenting my kids. Okay, so I know in my bones she needs to go. I know it's going to be good for her. And all along, I felt that excitement for her. But that's not how I felt this week. This last week, it's changed for me. I have an ache. And it's somewhere underneath my sternum. It's not quite in my gut. It's probably right smack dab in the middle of my heart, to be honest. Or the bottom of my heart. And my kids are feeling it, my other kids. Not all of them, like some or haven't just shown it yet. They'll process it later maybe. But my youngest, he's just been more needy, wanting more hugs. And I think he feels that change is coming, that he knows change is coming. And he told me yesterday that he doesn't want her to go, just wants her to stay. Because it's different when you're 8 and someone in your family's leaving. And I told him, so maybe it wasn't the best answer, but I said, yeah, everybody's going to leave before you. Because that's what it means to be the youngest. And it's hard. And it's okay that it's hard and we can feel sad. And that's how I'm feeling this week. I'm grieving. I'm grieving that she's leaving. I'm grieving that our lives are going to change. I'm grieving that I don't get to watch. I don't get to watch her grow and become the woman that she's becoming. Because all their life I've gotten to watch. I've been right there, front row seat, as she's been becoming and being this incredible human being. And this change is so significant, and I don't get to watch it. Not from a front row seat. It's more of on the peripheral. And I wouldn't change it, but I am aching. I am hurting. I'm feeling sad about it. And I'm wrestling with those emotions. And consequently, because I'm feeling that, I'm not being nice to other people in my family, which does not feel good either. But I'm finding this week, I'm having a hard time being in control of my emotions because of the sadness. And it took me a while to figure out the aching piece, but I've just been impatient. I've been short with people. I haven't been as loving to the other kids because I just feel like all of my energy is being directed towards letting her go and getting her ready to go. You see, I think maybe it's just so much more in the forefront because we've been packing up her room. So we've been boxing everything up, which maybe seems silly to some people. Well, why would you pack her room up? It's not like she's not coming back. But we live in a very small house and there are 7 of us. And there's no way that the other kids are going to let a big vacant room just stay vacant. Somebody is moving in there. Someone who shares a room is moving in there and has been talking about it for months. So we're taking everything out of her room, which has a sense of finality to it, even though I know she's coming home in a semester. So we've been packing and we've been getting everything organized and making sure that all of the components that she needs to do are ready for her. And I've been trying to spend time with her, like just when she's talking, just really listening, thinking, I'm not going to get to do this. I'm not going to get to be in a room with her where she's talking. And that's hard. So I'm holding on to all of these moments in the best way that I can because I feel sad about this change. When I think about parenting, it kind of boils down to 2 things for me. On one part or one side, one of the things it boils down to is parenting is about holding on. It's about creating safety and holding tight. And then the other piece is about letting go. So let's talk about the holding on piece. The holding on piece is being there and meeting needs and pulling your kids tight and pouring into them and being consistent and being loving. That's what I mean when I say parenting is about holding on. It's about creating that safety net, creating that safe environment for your child so that they feel loved and they feel secure and they feel connected. And then the other piece, the other big piece of parenting is letting go. And what that means is just to like open your hands and let them leave that tight embrace so that they can stretch and do things and become who they're meant to be. I remember the first time I had to let go of the girl who's going. I was doing my master's and she was about 10 months old. And because I was doing my master's, I was going in to be doing a practicum for counseling. And it was a full-time practicum. So I was going back to work full-time and she was 10 months. And I had been home with her up until that point. I had been doing school, but because it was the academic coursework stuff and I was doing it online, I was with her every day. And then I would, if she was napping, or I would read while she played, but I was home or my husband was home. And I was sending her to be cared for by others. Now, the person who was caring for her was my mom. And I may have shared this with you before in previous episodes. But it was my mom. Like, we had very similar parenting styles because she was my mom and I was this person's mom. And when I sent my daughter to be cared for by my mom, there were parts that I had to let go because even though we had similar parenting styles, we were still different. And my mom didn't do things exactly how I did it. And I knew that I just had to let that go. That part of parenting, if I was going to do what I needed to do at that time, which was to do my master's, I needed to be able to let go this piece around my daughter. And that moment has really stuck with me, that piece about letting go. And since then, through parenting 5 kids who are still all at home, I really feel the sense of that letting go is a continual process. Letting them make decisions is a part of letting go. Letting them choose the way that they live their life, even though if it's not what you would choose for them. That's what I mean by letting go. So there's this almost, it's not that they're at friction, holding on and letting go, because when you hold on, you're actually creating a base that enables them to go. And when you have that base though there, they come back. So it's not that they're at odds with each other, but it can feel that way because with my daughter leaving this week, I just want to hold on so tight. And there's all these times that I wish I had held on tighter. But that's not what parenting is about this week or this moment. For me, it's about I need to let her go. I need to release her so that she can do what she's supposed to do. But it feels hard and I feel sad. Even though I know it's going to be amazing and I know it's going to be beautiful. So that's where I'm at today, feeling quite a bit of sadness and quite a bit of excitement for her too. And a little bit of envy. I mean, you kidding me? A semester in Europe? That sounds amazing. Yes. Yes. Me too. Me too. I want to go. What a wonderful time of life she's in right now. And that is worth celebrating. This podcast is really about figuring out how to navigate these different times in our lives, how to navigate these different aspects of our life. I really believe that we're meant to live rich, beautiful lives. And these 5 components that I was talking about at the beginning, this piece around parenting, this piece around relationships with others, not just with spouse, but relationships with all of the people in our life, friends, career, work, personal growth, well-being, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. All of these things fit together for me because I find that I circulate between them and I focus on different aspects of these because I know that when I do, I know that when I invest in these areas, that's when my life is overflowing. That's when I see abundance. And that's what we explore in the Art of Plenty. And for those of you who are new here, I also have an email subscription list, and you can get on that email list and I will send you emails where I dive into those topics and explore them further. Because what's deep in my soul is that my life is not my own. Sometimes I don't even know how to articulate this, but my life is not my own. I strongly sense that my stories and my experiences are meant to be shared because I want other people to experience freedoms and love and the gloriousness of life. So if this is where you're at, if you are interested in getting more out of work, if you're interested in learning how to invest in your relationships, or are joining me in the difficulties and the wondrous parts of being a parent, or if you are passionate about your well-being or personal growth, this is the podcast for you. And I would appreciate it if you subscribed so that you can help me share these pieces with other people. And go to the show notes if you want to get on my email list so that you have this delivered to your inbox. We're making a difference here, and we want you to be a part of it. I'm Amy McInnes, a mom who is hurting today as she's letting go, who's excited because I know that this is going to be incredible for my daughter. And this is the Art of Plenty.